Nice. What's wrong with that?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lavasa.
President.
Councilman Kazarian. Present. Councilman Solano. Councilman Figueroa.
Present.
Councilwoman Baena. Councilwoman Rosado Martinez. Councilman Ferry.
Present.
Council President, we have four.
Thank you. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is item 3, new business. At this time, Councilman, I'd like to announce that Councilman Solano has arrived. The time is 5:32.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is under new business, discussion of department directors regarding fiscal year 24 proposed budget. First up is police department. We have Colonel Robeson here tonight.
Good evening. Colonel, before you start, the city council and the mayor do proclaim this National Police Week. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, City Council. Appreciate it. Greetings, everyone. Good evening. City Council President, members of the City Council, members of public safety, city staff, and everyone. Before we start, first, on behalf of the men and women of the Central Coast Police Department, I'd like to express our condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Kelly Flynn, who was a staunch educator for our city. During such tragedies, I'm often reminded how our community comes together in an effort to console and support each other. And our prayers go out to the family. As we look back on the past several years, to include current, Central Falls has made tremendous progress. As a direct result of the tireless work performed by the men and women of the Central Falls Police Department, the city continues to experience a consistently lower crime rate that hasn't been seen in almost 34 years. It's my pleasure to say that this trend continues to hold true for 2023. Members of the Central Falls Police Department respond to approximately 30,000 calls for service annually. That's more per capita than any other municipality in this state. Those calls range from minor, like relatively keep the peace, traffic control, and confronting violent crime in any form that it manifests. I applaud the agency for their tireless work and the resource provided by our many partners, such as Communities for People, Family Services, Blackstone Valley, the Rhode Island Coalition for Elder Abuse, the Institute of Nonviolence, Thundermist Health Center, and more. We also have new programs going on in the city. The newly implemented red light and speed camera traffic control programs has assisted in reducing the number of overall traffic accidents by nearly 100 pre-COVID. So not counting COVID, because that was an awkward year, everybody was inside. But on a normal course, nearly down by 100. And I also be remiss if I failed to mention the Central Falls Fire Department, led by Chief Scott Miller. By way of his leadership and the hard work by the fire department, the partnering of police and fire have become all that more efficient in serving the residents of Central Falls and visitors. It was just the other day through the actions of a collaborative effort that fire and police were able to safely evacuate family from Lonsdale. And these are the things that often go, although a serious incident, they go under the radar. And you're right, City Council President, it's Police Memorial Week with a lot of law enforcement, who have made a great sacrifice. But in my mind, it's fire and police all the time. We're always responding to the same calls, and the likelihood because of the field is, as opposed to other fields, is chances that we might not go home that night. But again, thank you for your words earlier. In addition to providing professional service to our community, the Central Falls Police Department was able to accomplish the following. As most of you know, we always have our annual Shop with a Cop, where students from Central Falls receive gift cards to Walmart 2 times a year to buy items, clothes, notebooks, pens, pencils, etc. And it's great that youth and family are able to purchase these items, but the real goal behind that is the relationship, the proximity, the interaction, and the humanizing of each other. I get to know you, you get to know me. And those, from there, relationships are forged. There was also the Leading Ladies Initiative. Great. 22 young ladies, also from Central Falls, were selected to participate in this inaugural program that sought out professional women who doubled as mentors. The women shared their valuable life experience over a weekend that was embedded with activities that included mental and physical health, career exploration, scholarships, and much more. Made possible by the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Target, in collaboration with a number of new partners that include but not are limited to Apple Valley Cinema, H&M, and the Graduate Hotel. I'd also like to highlight the Central Falls Police Department in its entirety. By way of its membership, they've been honored with the following: the Rhode Island Police Accreditation Commission Assessor Award, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation Highway Safety Champion Award, and the FBI Trilogy Award. The Central Falls Police Department is a national award-winning agency. In addition to being nationally recognized, the department has been selected by the governor to serve for the first time ever on the police officer standards and training for the state of Rhode Island. So the work being done in the agency, I can't say enough about the men and women of the work they do, the time that they volunteer. I really take my hat off to them. Nothing's perfect, but I promise you we'll strive to do better the next month and the next year. And as long as we stay in that mindset, I know that we're always going to serve.
Thank you, Chief, for that presentation. Before I turn it over to other members for questions, I believe public safety is perhaps the most important for the residents of the city of Central Falls. My concern is, Chief, both chiefs, I hope the budget you presented reflects a good portion of your needs. I do not want to see you go without your so-called wish list. And I know this year's budget is here, and I do hope that your budget reflects most of your needs. And I know we're not ever going to get to the maximum wish list that both departments have, but with all my heart, I do hope that your budget reflects your needs, at least for the next fiscal year. And if for some reason it don't, for an emergency or something, you need something, please come back to the city and to the city council. Even items, as I mentioned, the chief fellow one day, the fire the only issue. You need fire hydrants, things of that nature. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I put public safety here. And again, I look through your budget, and I do hope it reflects most of your needs and most of your wish list, at least within your fiscal year. Thank you. I'll start on the right, Megan.
I'll mirror what the council president said. I'm a big advocate for fire and police. For many years, I've reached out to nonprofit organizations and getting things that were needed, especially on the fire side. And having two immediate family members in both fire and police is not a department that I would favor more than both fire and police. So thank you for everything that both departments do every day. While we just doing one question, going on rough. So my first question is with the animal control department. I know that she's listed, on the payroll side and medical and all that. I do know another department that I tend to fundraise a lot for is for Charlie and the animals in the community. And I know she has a nonprofit, the Friends of Central Falls Animals, that I've recently just made a hefty donation to. Is that ever something that we can obtain? Who I guess oversees that funding? Is there a board for that nonprofit? Because this is money coming into the city for the needs of these animals, and I don't think we've ever received anything documented.
No, and you're right. That's in years past, because the city has relied on that organization as it relates to our animal needs throughout the city, and outside of her salary and things of that nature, it's only through people's gratuity, generous donors to that organization. And I'll add to that. Just if you see in the budget, it went up to $7,000. Now that's what Pawtucket. We're gonna be utilizing their shelter from here on in. We were using theirs before, they just weren't charging us. So this thing kind of like, I guess, and from what I understand, pre-COVID, there was a charge, or maybe a couple of years before that. So they have reached out, and that's where if you see the boarding and the animals on the top of page 19, you have that in front of you. That's where that $7,000 comes from. But as Councilwoman, to speak to your needs, yeah, I would say that more attention is needed in the animal control area, in the way of resources. Yeah, in the way of resources. Charlene does a great job. She does things on her own time. She has a passion for taking care of animals, and I think the city served well from directing some resources in that.
Great Marshall. She does a job I probably could never do. But I'm always assisting her with donors and personal donations and things. So I just wanted to ask a clarifying question with the funding for that, because to know it's strictly based on donors is a concern. I know just recently there was 3 cases. One house on Central had over 42 animals brought in, and that she's a one-man band. Like, she is the animal control department. I know a lot of the officers assist, but prioritize if another call comes in, they're going to take the other call, and she's got her outreach to all these nonprofits, Vintage Pet Rescue and Friends of Homeless Animals and all these organizations. So I'm a big advocate for that. I just didn't know if there was anything that we can do for that department, with the budget. I think it's needed.
I've looked at the calls for service pre and post her getting into that position, and they lowered dramatically. when you look over years period, so just to speak to her, the job that she does, she does a great job.
Yeah, I agree.
Councilman Kazari, thank you.
Yes, thank you again, everyone, for being what you do every day in the Central Falls. It's very much appreciated. I have a couple of questions maybe about staffing. Are we fully staffed? Are you looking for officers? What's it look like? Are you down?
So, across the board, in-state, nationally, you probably heard with recruiting in law enforcement. But with that said, we've made great progress in the recruitment efforts. We've taken on 4 officers, new officers. Hopefully one more. Just doing something in the academy, and hope to send 4 to 5 to the academy starting in July. So we're looking good. I mean, it takes they graduate. They go in July. They'll get out in December. So we have a length of time, and once they get out, field training. So that's enough. By the time they're on their own, probably about March of 2024. Yeah. They're
So
trying to.
you feel confident as a team that we're looking good and we're prepared for the future?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. That's my favorite question.
Councilman Sani.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. And I also want to congratulate you for the recent graduation that you did a doctorate in, I don't know in what, but you recently graduated from doctorate.
Oh, so for I have I completed a executive. It took me like several years, executive education course at Harvard Kennedy School, and fortunate enough to find team funding from the Hassenfeld Institute and other sources for a number of years. But I do have a doctorate, and it's a doctorate in education.
That's great, congratulations. So I think one of my questions is in the same subject because I see that the budget last year for police training was $42,240, and this year is more than double. It's $90,100. Is that will be because you are becoming more police officer?
Yeah, so we had this, so the 4 and contractual, that's also went up with contract negotiations as well. So that would put, correspondingly put that on as well.
And so that will be because I see that your budget in overtime is also it increased a lot, like $80,000 compared with the last year budget. Because we now have $2,000 and $50,000 instead of $170 that was last year for overtime. And that's because you're under staffing or what?
Yeah, that's what was received 170. Like, so if you look at even over the last 12 years, and you look at the budget overtime, it reflects that number. So you're right, it was 170, but that's a truer number. If you look at any year, just going back, and that's a truer number.
And I can see that because also, I mean, at March 30th or 31, you spent $2,096,876 in overtime during that period of time. I'm afraid that probably increased during March to June. Is that correct?
Right, because we had 5 guys slated to go to the academy and 4 officers who are just still on field training. So the current officers have to work the overtime in order to make up for that. And in addition, what goes into that overtime, that's so you get a sense of what goes into that number. It's more than minimum mandate for the shift. If the city has any project going and they request an officer, it comes out of it. If there's like an event of something city sponsored, it comes out of there. Any city sponsored, you see the police officers there, it comes out of that.
So, I got another question.
Rafael?
Anthony, thank you very much. Excellent job. I know we have a little conversation before, and it's really been tremendous since you started. I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember seeing people asking where you from. It's Central Falls. I don't have any Central Falls is becoming one of the best cities. Really, it is right now. Crime is all the way down, and I'm very happy. I'm very proud of the job that you did. I have a little concern a little bit, sometime in a month or less. We still have a little issue with the school and all that, so that's one of the things we might want to do. And over time, I think you really addressed, that was one of the bigger questions. Because, over time it's great, but we need people to work. But I know 100% of people who work overtime as a police, it's become a point that you're really tired. And there's a point that you're probably not going to want to. If you work over 8 hours a day, it's not going to be so good. But it also is answer the question you have extra more people coming to that kind of
Yeah, thank you, and you're right. It's sometimes like out of sight, out of mind, and we just know that a shift is coming, right? We know that the fire's gonna respond, they're there, the police gonna respond, they're there, but the individual member of the police department, so what we've done internally, and it's usually like a seniority thing, but we've instituted a new practice where it's rotating regardless of your seniority, and that's to include detectives. So it takes less of the burden where you have that junior officer getting audited again and again and again and again, just simply because they're junior, and it kind of spreads it out somewhat, because you have to be alert, and you're absolutely right. You're going into all type of incidents, as you're all aware, and the better alert that we have members of public safety, the better. So in order to try to diminish that fatigue of that occurring, that's taken.
Thank you. Hello.
I apologize to the board, and I apologize to everybody here due to my challenging job that I do. I want to, thank you, because you're doing phenomenal here in Central Falls, and having that person to support these families that I work with. It's been a good, I don't want to say recommendation, but when I do my job, I can say Central Falls has the family covered, and they support our community. So one of my questions was about the animal control, but she did. I also, it's a lot of community approaches to me about the animals and the situation, and the economical part, people having animals and not having the money to support. So she did the question, and we answered. And again, I'm here, and I would like to sit down with you and continue that conversation that we had before. Okay?
Like I say, I was just looking to the overtime, just figure I feel. I understand that there's a lot of overtime.
I just wanted to talking about the security, you say that in the job you're doing here, which is great, thank you. But the other day, I just wanted to ask, somebody called me for something that I'd like to know. It go to the department for complaining about something that was stolen. And then the dispatcher said that you have to come to the department to file a complaint. I think it was a plate for the car that was stolen. And the dispatcher asked the person that called to go to the department to file the complaint and this and that. So when something like that happened to the people, somebody called for any complaint or for any need in the department, do the people have to go to the department or the police are able to go there to their home and find out what's going on?
Just so I'm clear, so somebody contacted the police department for a stolen plate?
Yeah.
For a stolen plate. And they told they have to come into the police department? No, the police can respond out.
They have to go there?
So you can just go wherever, as long as it's within the city. The police can go there. Somebody stole your plate off the car, they just make the report, and that's it. If the dispatch, I'm not sure why they would say that, but no, the police could respond directly there. The only thing I can and I don't know that this was the case. In my experience, the only time if you have you're tied up, it's an extreme is going on. It's like we can't send an officer, but the option is to come to the public safety complex to meet them.
I got another quick question about capital expenditure. About $166,000 in this budget. Last year there was nothing in this month.
So, with this, forecasted out budget plan. So when I said that, I looked at it, probably thinking with Mary. So we have with computers, those are for vehicles for the fleet and unmarked vehicles. So as in the past, because the fleet was initially in such horrible shape, because you get a vehicle and don't get another vehicle for I don't know how many years, and so it was like teetering on the brink of being like a crisis situation. So in order to forecast that accounts for 2 vehicles, for example, for this year, in the following years, as these other vehicles, because this vehicle's there in the 90s. We're in the vehicle. You don't see them, but there you got the even the ACO, the animal control vehicle, the detective vehicles. A lot of them are on their last you might not readily see them or pay attention to like an animal control vehicle, but our current one is it's leaking. I mean, oil has to be changing it every once a week. It's done. We have the fleet really needed, and this is playing catch up because it was never a broadcasting plan, so everything is playing catch up, and that's that 166. The zero from before was in order to diminish the impact on the overall budget. The ARPA funds helped us out quickly in purchasing vehicles before, so that's why it was zero before, and this is the norm.
If I may, so last year it was ARPA funds, and it was also, we secured several USDA grants to purchase vehicles, 6 vehicles in total. So that's why that was. And to his point, the vehicles are a marked car, a detective car, and animal control.
Thank you.
I just had a question regarding community policing and things like that. How do you have folks actually look at last year or the year before and see if there's any type of more involvement or anything with, any interest in that with the residents coming to your events? Do you gauge that somehow to see if it's working? And
You know what? Everywhere I go, in the city, they're saying that the police officers, they interact with them more. Like they never spoke to the captain. Like there was not like interaction they never really interacted with Major Carroll or never interacted with Detective such and such. And I think the first part of community policing is proactive engagement in making the community at large, all of you, more comfortable with just picking up the phone and being able to call as well, again, as the community to call anybody. And so that's part one of, so when you're talking about community relations, even the mayor's office, make it comfortable to know the officers, so you should know who your officers are.
Yeah.
You should know in their personality.
Yeah, when I lived in Pawtucket, I was very involved with the community police unit because we operated a community center on Barton and Dempsey Street. And the interaction there was, I'm all for it. It was just wonderful that these little kids and teenagers are interacting and playing basketball with a cop. So I always was a proponent of that, and I just wanted to see if you've seen some success in that here.
Yeah, I have informally, just from the feedback from being out there, I feel that the sense that people are more comfortable with the police department. When we're talking about organizational change, any organizational change is typically takes from 3 to 5 years, right? When you're talking about change for the better, for the culture. And we all have rules and regulations and things like that. But we were talking in between the line and changing the culture, organization, with organizational change, going in a positive direction. So to answer the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. In your presentation, you mentioned the funds that were being generated from like the traffic cams and the speed cams, which I'm sure we're all very familiar with in this room. I'm sure maybe have obtained a few. When you provide your monthly statement to the packet that we receive, and it's not really broken down. I read it as there's city traffic fines, and there's a number there, and there's state traffic fines, and then there's a number there. I didn't know if there was a way to break down what is speeding, what is traffic, if they are issued by an officer, if they're issued by these cameras.
Okay, you know what? I'll circle back to you. I know you're saying
That's fine.
More comprehensive.
Right, and the underlying reason I'm asking is I had emailed you, but I know for myself, and I'm sure a few of the other council members, lately we've been receiving non-stop emails, phone calls. I know Kevin and I spoke briefly on it with noise complaints, and every day I drive through the city and the parking is like unbelievable. I'm driving down Hunt Street today, there's actually a car in the middle of the road parked. I don't know how a fire truck would even get by. Yeah, I have a photo of it actually.
Unless he actually broke down.
Oh no, it's been there. It's been there for 2 days. Not that I'm
in the
blocking
middle.
it. I would say right in the road parking. I have a photo that I'm happy to send to you. So my concern is how would a fire truck get by? And I just want to know how many fines, because I'm hearing that parking fines are being issued. I don't know the process on if they are not paid, but it's being told to me that if they're not paid, there's really no underlying movement that can happen if there's unpaid parking fines. So I was thinking, is there anything that we can implement that is true as far as, I know if we didn't pay car taxes, we didn't register our vehicle at the DMV, or in Providence, which I know you're familiar, they boot the cars. So is it true that someone can just get ample amount of parking tickets if they are being implemented and just not pay?
So, all right. So tickets are being issued. So just in the last 2 months, we've had 200 and some odd tickets issued by police, and this is all within the system. You could pull that information, obviously by weekdays and even by shift or how many per shift. So there's hundreds of tickets being issued. Central Florida, years ago, there was a company here that was able to, if you didn't pay your municipal tickets, there was some teeth behind that. We're going to put the car. So I think there was some financial issues between that company and the city, so they walked away. So that was the teeth behind at the municipal level when it comes to enforcement, and you're correct with the booting of the car and such. So what the command staff shared with me, that's been the case for a number of years. You may even be more familiar. It was maybe 7, 8 years ago is when they walked away from the city. But that being said, I think it would be something we may want to revisit, because we can write those citations and send them to the state. But that revenue is going. Not that we look to gain revenue, but by that means I don't mean it like that. But it goes to the state. So yeah, that's as it relates with having some being able to enforce that to actually make. So yeah, you're right. You get 2 tickets.
Yeah,
In other municipalities, 3. You get 3, and they go unpaid if you're the boot van or what have you. You're on a public highway or road. They can't do it on private property, but they put that boot on. So you're going 2 places: municipal court, or you're gonna put your credit card in and get the boot released.
And you're not gonna park there again. Or I hope you're not that silly to park there again.
It's usually about $400 to $500. By the time, if you just leave it, and if you do leave it, the actual boot is sold, that just adds on additional monies that person would have.
I do have a question. I noticed, just behind the gas station, there's a lot of gas station there, around there, for some reason, I just noticed, many car has a Massachusetts plate. And I'm pretty sure we work with people from Massachusetts. That's one. But if it's someone moved from Massachusetts here, how long and how do we know? How long they need to change the plate to go like?
You have, upon establishing residency, so in the state, you need to go to the DMV and change all your, include your operators and licenses over in the state.
One question, didn't you said people that know major government is also Santa Claus? I didn't know.
There's no pizza.
Get out of the bag.
I always
Santa Claus had Christmas in the park. That's why I had
tell them, maybe if you're just standing there, you could I can see how you can look if you're just standing there and don't say anything, right? And you show up to a incident, in law enforcement, they teach that the first rung on the force continuum is presence, right? So although that's not necessarily being utilized, it leaves impression. So it's important to engage. It is. It's important to engage because you don't. So many things can be misinterpreted through body language, which is the majority of our language, even more than we talk. So that can be misinterpreted, and so you put 2 people. Yeah, you did Santa Claus.
He was up there about almost 2 hours. With that in mind, I just hope that your budget reflects the needs, like I said, top priority is public safety, police and fire department, fiscal year. And if there's an emergency in any respect, fire department, whatever people need, within the fiscal year, just go right back to the city.
Thank you. And I appreciate you all, because there's things that come from all of you because things slip through the cracks, right? It's a city. Like I said, approximately 30,000 calls for service a year. There's a lot of moving parts that go on. So it's always important to get, hey, you know what? This and that. We may not necessarily see some things, so when it's brought to our attention, it's important. It's important because it could be a huge thing on one side, but just go under the radar for certain things. So I always encourage, maybe, you know what? It might not just know. So I always appreciate reaching out.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the fire department. Chief Scott Miller.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. I also want to echo the same condolences as the colonel. Police were there. They did a fantastic job at the school that day. All the rest of it was Saturday. My guys worked on there for 30 straight minutes in that school before they left. They did everything humanly possible to save her, including Deputy Chief St. Diamond, who is an EMT cardiac. He's been a cardiac a long time. He was right in there with the guys working on her. They did everything humanly possible to save her. She did come back a little bit out of the hospital, unfortunately. She succumbed to her. But I will say, the Colonel and I, we tease each other. It's well known amongst the other directors and chief of staff. He does a fantastic job with his guys. We are in lockstep. Him and I, both coming from Providence, known each other a long time, and we are in lockstep. Police and fire like I've never seen before, like I've never experienced in the city. And yes, the other day that fire on Lonsdale Ave, Councilman was there, he stopped by. One of his guys was on the road detail, spotted the smoke, ran by foot, saw the house on fire. We heard it on the police radio before we were even called by any civilians. So we were on our way. That's how fast we got there. You know, no loss of life, extensive damage to the home, but these guys, we worked in lockstep with them, not to be redundant, because a long time ago, firefighters would run into a dangerous situation, just running. Times have changed. We wait for the police to secure the scene. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to enter the dangerous scene of an incident, shooting, stabbing, something really violent without their assistance. So I'll publicly thank the criminal law officers for what they do for us. The Central Falls Fire Department, full service fire and emergency medical service agency that provides basic and advanced life support, fire prevention, fire suppression. In addition, the department conducts arson investigations, building plan reviews, enforces state and local fire and safety, life safety codes. In 2022, the Central Falls Fire Department consisted of working each day 1 advanced life support rescue, 200 companies, 1 lighter company, 1 battalion chief command unit. The department is also equipped with a fast deploying fireboat. The department is equipped to respond to all fire, medical emergencies, natural disasters, hazmat, and terroristic events that occur within the Central Falls and any surrounding communities that require our mutual aid assistance. We have accomplishments that goals I had set out, that that we have accomplished in the last year. I will just get notified today, I will mention this, one of my firefighters, EMTs, just passed the rescue lieutenant's exam, Brandon Dunlap. He was selected, he was nominated by myself, my rescue officer, as the EMS person of the year. They select one medical director, one advisor, one doctor or nurse, and one EMS person in the entire state. Out of all the rescue personnel in the state, he got the award for Great ALS Provider of the Year. Being honored next Friday at the State House. It's a 1 o'clock presentation. Go. The mayor for the schedule is clear. She's going to go. It's a big award. And we'll be right in the State House. We will be recognized. The Central Falls Firefighter winning this award amongst every other EMT in the state of Rhode Island. That was impressive. So if anyone knows Brandon, or reach out to him, that would be greatly appreciated. I want to say that some of the goals that we've achieved the last year, we got brand new iPads from a grant from FM Global. So on each of the pieces of apparatus and also in the rescue that helps us communicate, transmit important information back to the dispatchers and with the hospitals, especially in the rescue. The apparatus replacement that's ongoing this year, we will be getting delivered in December, brand new pumper truck. That was courtesy of the federal grants and ARPA funds. The equipment on the police side of the ledger, obviously they drive SUVs, fire trucks. That pumper truck is $630,000. Ladder trucks, approximately $1 million. So they're very expensive to maintain, to keep on the road. We are getting a brand new one in December, so that will help us. The current first line engine 1 will be our engine 2, so those two trucks running in tandem, we'll have a brand new one in December. The staff vehicles, we have 2, myself and the deputy chief. We got that through a grant. And some of the other stuff that we've accomplished, working on 2024, the new public safety complex. That's a big one. That's gigantic. I know the Colonel and I both talked about it. The building is approximately 52 years old now. It's in tough shape. It's in real tough shape. It's kind of being put together, a band-aid, so to speak. Police side and the fire side. We both departments do the best we can with what we got. Mayday training, that's some of my goals. That's when a firefighter goes down, calls on the radio that he's trapped. So we're constantly training our firefighters to get that firefighter out, train to get him out safely. We have to get to him, get him on air. We run out of air, get a new pack so he can breathe and get him out of the fire. As the constable saw the other day, there was thick smoke coming out of that house. It was a serious fire. Accountability training, that's also in a fire situation like that day, the incident commander will call back to the dispatcher and say, start an accountability on the radio, which is you account for each person at the fire, each company, all the personnel, company officer will respond on the radio. An ongoing training towards hazardous buildings, properties throughout the city, we try to identify them. Also, the nuisance task force deputy works on that with the attorneys and DPW and the planning office. We did approximately 1 square mile, a little over 5,000 calls last year. And if you could extrapolate that out, I mean, we're 1 square mile, Robinson's 26 square miles. We do about, I want to say about 60 to 70,000 calls. If we had that big of an area, we would be doing a lot more than 5,000, like the colonel said. It's per capita, pound for pound, so to speak. We can match up with any department with what we got. These guys do an unbelievable job, and I just want to defer to Lieutenant Petrin. He's my numbers guy. He takes care of fire alarm. He creates all these numbers for me. I want to come up and just explain some of these numbers quick. The amount of calls that we've had in different trucks. Lieutenant Dan Petrin, I'll finish up.
Good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Dan Petrin. I supervise the communications portion of the fire department. Last year, we responded to 5,008 runs total for the whole fire department. Rescue alone did 2,900 runs, 2,952, and both engines combined did close to 3,000. Mutually requested, we had mutual aid come in 1,079 times, and we responded outside of Central Falls a total of 360 times. Our mutual aid usually consists of Pawtucket, Cumberland, Lincoln. Depending if they're not available, then we reach out Providence, North Providence, sometimes as far as Middle Massachusetts, Attleboro, North Attleboro, depending on how, for the medical call or how large scale of fire or whatever incident it happens in. We open for medical calls, we have 3,628 medical calls, and then for other type of fire runs, a fire alarm that goes off when you're driving down the street, box alarm, which is a city box. That's a fire alarm that's connected to the fire station that we receive when we respond out. Any type of other fire alarm, brush fire, elevator calls, anything like that was 1,210. And for motor vehicle accidents in the city, believe it or not, 173 motor vehicle accidents with injuries that were responded to. Bigger definition refusals and transported to. And for confirmed fires inside of Central Falls and outside of Central Falls that we responded to, overhead fires, work and structure fires, and third. Any questions about the leftovers when I'm up there?
60% of calls are rescue.
Yes. Yeah, very good. That's everywhere. It's everywhere.
So yeah, out of that 5,000 calls that you received last year,
Yes,
most of them are for emergencies, medical situations.
Medical, fire, everything. So 5,008 is total department-wide for everything across the board. Then we break it down as far as 3,600 for medical, and then 1,200 for fire-wise, and everything else is just a mix of.
When you send a rescue, that you from those 36 months that you have to go to the city receive restitution for the child bill for the people that
I'm not sure as far as how the billing process works. So I would defer to the chief or the medical or the EMS coordinator. But as far as I know, that for the rescue calls, there is billing that is involved. I'm not sure on how that does work, but I know there is medical.
So I know that they charge something. It could be probably 500 or so, but I don't know if that money really come into the city or how would that work.
There is third-party billing when a rescue gets called. Unfortunately, not everybody has insurance, and not everybody can pay. That's why the amount we recuperate here in Central Falls is much smaller than larger cities. Council President asked about most of those calls are EMS calls, and that number I gave you, Providence, 40,000 of those are rescue calls. And they had the same difficulty when I was the chief there. People that can't afford to pay, we don't say no. When someone calls here, we go.
Yeah.
We have one rescue at a time. We have two rescues, but we rotate them for wear and tear. We have one rescue working. And if there's a call for building fire, the other day the council was there, the rescue guys have to jump on a fire truck because the staffing is low. You can't have one firefighter on the truck. At least two, preferably three. So the truck will be left behind. But when it does respond to rescue on a normal rescue call, they have billed, third-party billing. And from time to time, I know the money goes to the finance office. And some people just can't pay. So the collections for the city sometimes is much lower than expected.
And Chief, I just wanted to thank you for risking you and your department, risking your life to save other lives. It's like, that's how we do most of the time, especially when there's a fire in place. So thank you very much for that. And also congratulate the EMS that going to receive the award this Friday, you said?
Yeah, Brandon Dunlap.
Yeah, this Friday.
Next Friday, the 26th. Next Friday, the 26th.
That's great to hear that, especially this small city going to be receiving that award.
Yes.
For the science things. That's great. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
And out of those numbers that Lieutenant Petra spoke of, over 3,000 EMS calls, that was almost 1,000 that were, I use the term given away, so to speak, because our truck was busy, so we had mutual aid come in. If we had the ability to take every single rescue call, just our rescue alone would be over 4,000 calls. So department-wide, we'd be over 6,000, approaching 7,000 calls a year, 1 square mile. It's phenomenal what they do with what they have.
That is a lot.
Chief, you have your presentation?
Yes.
I have a question. I just want to start by thanking you and your department for everything that you guys do. You know, they say that you're only as strong as the team that you have, and I think that you have an extremely strong team with a lot of big assets to the community that, based on the budget, they're invested because they have a passion for what they do, and they have a passion for Central Falls. And I'm sure it's not an easy job, so I personally commend you and say thank you to the team for everything that's done day in, day out. Again, I'm a big advocate for health and safety, as you know, so I know we're all here to help in any way that we can. I have a question. I know months back there was conversation about you going from 7 men on a shift to 8, and I don't recall, is that in effect?
That is going to be in effect the last year of the CBA, which is next year. Chief, that's 2025.
Yes, actually, those are effective, yes.
Yeah, halfway through 24 into 25.
Can I piggyback off that question?
Sure.
In your professional opinion, is 7 men currently strong enough to provide the needs of the community in waiting till that? I know it was a contracted deal, and I remember the conversation, and I do remember asking at that meeting, and I do recall the gentleman was going to circle back, and I don't remember his name, I apologize, but he did not circle back, and, you know, none of us here do the job, so I would want to hear from someone directly. Is 7 men, I know years back it was 8, I believe. Is 7 sufficient? Are we able to provide the need of the community with 7?
We provide with what we have, but ideally, getting the 8th person at the end of the CBA, 9 or 10 would be actually more than that. Because there was a study done from the guys that have been here a lot longer than me. And they said there was a company that came in and did a feasibility study of the fire department years ago. And they said, 2 engines, 36, the ladder, 9, 3 on each truck, battalion chief, 10, 2 on the rest, 12. But finances, the way they are, they're constricted in the city. 8 is definitely a step in the right direction. 9 would be ideal right now, or 10, but that's down the road now. So, but 7, that's a struggle. 7, it is.
I don't do the numbers. I just don't think that a dollar amount can be put on the safety of anybody in our community. So that's why I asked that question. So thank you.
I don't have any questions, I just again want to thank the leadership for coming up and the person who experienced years ago, something happened to me and that's what so I appreciate the hard work and dedication and hard work staff put into the city's
Thank you.
So I second those motions.
Thank you.
Chief, you have $17,000 in your capital expenditure this year, but we're going to receive a truck that costs $1 million in December. Is that going to be to grants that we're going to pay for that truck?
No, I was just telling you what the ladder truck costs.
Yeah.
The engine truck is the only truck we're getting, and And that's
Yeah.
630,000.
How much?
630.
I know, that's
And
why
the USDA grant,
it would be covered with that.
I believe 400 and something thousand, and then the opera funds of 300 leftover would go to pay for the rest of the truck. And a brand new engine truck, a brand new pumper truck, that's the life of a firefighter. Where you water on the fire. That's the pump. And the operator gets the water, touches the dials, gets the water through the hose, so we can get the fire out. And if it's a leftover out of opera funds, it's 300 and something thousand, that's a steal. Because fire trucks is 600 and up. We could get a pumper truck with all the bells and whistles, electronics, for 800,000-900,000. A lot of trucks are out of sight. Over $1 million. So yes, and I will say publicly, we always talk about grants, and the gentleman Derek Palmati, who does all the grant writing in the learning community, is fantastic. Our guys are going down there Friday, they do a lot of public service too. They're taking the truck down for the kindergarten kids, for the 3 classes, there's 3 kindergarten classes Friday, Lieutenant Petron's taking the truck down Friday, and the kids will get to go on the truck, and the plastic helmets, see the truck, touch the truck. So we go to all the schools, we do the reading week, we're in close contact with the school department all the time. Yes, and I will say that, again, I don't want to lose this train of thought. We talk about grants, but if anybody was in the executive seat, they're all well written by Derek, the mayor's gonna sign them. He's going to look at the finances, go over with Mary. Mary's been a big supporter of the fire department. And honestly, I've told my guys this. She's sitting there with a pile of grant requests. If she doesn't sign them, we're not getting them. So she's going to know what the needs of the city and the residents are. And when I got here, like the police chief, the colonel, we needed equipment. Megan knows that. She saw the rescues. Everybody would walk by and say, why is there a rescue from Seacon? I mean, we borrowed rescues from every community in Rhode Island. They were a little fed up, so we started going to Massachusetts. We had about 18 different communities letting us borrow a rescue. Now we have 2 of our own.
That's great.
2. And we rotate them, so we're not just beating up one truck. Those are federal grants, so both of them. $340,000 each rescue.
So Chief, you just say that maybe it's a great support for the department, for your department, but I would say maybe it's a great support for the city as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a great support for all. And for Derek that you just mentioned, talking about Brian, Derek deserves a big applause. He did a great job for the city and taking a lot of money.
Yes, it does.
It's great.
Harry, you just wanna know how much you paid Franklin to say
I will never tell.
That's all I agree with
You hear
that.
that?
You got a grant.
I agree.
He's in trouble with me now.
I agree with that. I definitely take my hat off, which is, I have a home run, that's the chip, you know that. So, we definitely take it off. I have a lot of respect for you guys, your team. I usurped the other day, the fire that was, unbelievable how much passion they have, how much, I mean, how I was there for a good time, just to see how they did the excellent job. Thank you very much.
It does take a different kind of person to run into a burning building. The building is on fire. The natural instinct is to run away. My guys run in.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way you're going to save people.
Yeah.
They put the fire on. Regardless of whatever any other community does, you watch television, the guys might be outside shooting water in the window. I'm not going to save anybody doing that. I'm not going to get a human being out unless you go in and put your life on the line.
That's all.
That's what these guys do.
Thank you.
I want to say that I had the pleasure of being part of the board of Personal when we came to the city. And I can say, as a community member, I can say that the fire department has responded to my own building and help my family and help all the families in the building last year. So I can assure you and your department has done a really good job in the city and for our residents. And also, I can say and testify about taking the trucks to the schools. I truly enjoyed the last time. I was just visiting Raíces Dual Language Academy and the truck was there. And the passion that your team give to the students that maybe don't know, maybe never had that experience, it's truly appreciated. So you're doing the good job. I have a question. I don't know if it was for you, Chief Mello, or for Mary, but when Franklin touched on the capital expenditures with Colonel Roberson, and then he briefly touched on it for the fire department. Police is budgeted 166,000, fire is budgeted 73,000.
That's based on the 5-year plan and the progressive forethought of finally, I guess, versus the past, starting to prepare for long-term expenses. Mary had sent that out to us, prepare something. That was an excellent idea. I mean, I'm glad she is thinking about that in the future because she's the purse strings. So I laid out about, we don't have as many vehicles, we have big purchases,
Right.
big trucks, but like staff vehicles, myself, and the deputy. So within a 5-year plan, to get one at a time, and push those down to the fleet because Lieutenant Petrin and the other fire inspectors, when they go all over the city to do different fire inspections, right now they're using the old car, because the one chief's got, the car's very old, beat up. So within the next few years, if we purchase new staff vehicle, push mine down, or deputies down, let them utilize that. So that's some of the equipment and other fire equipment.
So the 73,000 number you provided to Mary?
Yes.
Okay, and then the one.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I provided what we need.
What, and then there was,
Yes.
so I guess my question is, why would the police, I know vehicles is a common answer, why would the police be allowed 40,000 more than fire?
I think we look at it as a whole and what each department has received and what they need, not just what they're paying for out of the operating fund, which is what we're looking at now. So as he said, he's gotten 2 new rescues, he's getting a new fire truck. We look at the whole picture. That's equipment acquired through grants as well as the operating fund. So not to say next year it might flip. We have to look at the whole picture, not just what comes out of here.
I will get that. That's good.
Okay.
No,
I normally never have questions, but for these two
I was
departments,
thinking that too.
I do.
So,
Thank you.
Chief, again, I just hope, like you gave us, to approve this future needs, and if it don't, please come back to us in emergency or whatever. Which department, again, for what this budget picture needs.
And I will mention one thing from is that through the grants, through the mayor signing them, which is fantastic. Does sign them, she's been phenomenal support of the fire department, the Mary processing it with Derek. The ear packs, those ear packs the guys wear on his back. When I first got it, that was a federal grant, $230,000 to get bring the ear packs all the firefighters and face pieces. The fire truck, some of the other equipment we got from grants. And we have one out now with AFG, the American Fire Grants, federal. We put in for a grant for battery operated extrication equipment. They open them at the federal level in June and July, which are jaws of life, spreads, cutters for accidents, anybody that's trapped in anything, battery operated. Batteries last for 6 hours, special batteries. The old system we have, hydraulic hoses, motor, to stop the motor, carry it with you. Hoses are long enough to get to the vehicle. We usually just pick up the ones, go to the plane to get that plane. They give us that, we can equip the pot, brand new battery operated equipment.
A quick question on that type of thing, this is similar to, night goggles. Is this couple of them where you see smoke going?
No, we have, thermal imaging cables.
Yes, that's right.
And they're attached to the airback, the NSA packs. We have about 5 or 6 of the packs with the cameras. They can just lift it up and it'll show, it's a heat sensor, so it'll show an outline of the human being by the heat.
And you have enough of
Yes.
that. With that,
Oh, I got something else to say.
as I said to Mary, you're free to go.
No, not yet. So if you need more money, you ask Mary to put together how much you need, and then you go to Derek Calamari and tell him to get that money out.
Well, you're giving me how much is driving in for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Both
you.
chiefs.
Actually, we're gonna keep the chief up there.
1 minute, that's all it's gonna
The
take.
next item on the agenda is EMA. We don't have a representative, but the chief has spoken extensively on the subject, so we figured he could deliver it here.
Well, last year it was presented by Zulema because the EMA in Pawtucket and Central Falls, one gentleman, Dave Deloge, he splits his time in both cities and he storms the major events. He handles that with weather reports, the support from the Emergency Management Association Agency of Rhode Island. And he represents them. And half his salary is paid by Central Falls, the other half is paid by Pawtucket. And he's quick to respond anytime Colonel or I call him, he responds. So he works very closely with the mayor and her staff for any emergency for the city. That's pretty much it. And that's what was presented last year. That's Dave Deloge operates on.
Is he tied in the Red Cross?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he is. Yes.
Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Stand adjourned at 6:43.5.